You said you took that break, right?
Yeah.
Have you had a crucial moment where it made click? Okay, I need to take more care of myself. Where you burned out? Did you have a serious conversation? Like, what was the changing moment for you? Today on the podcast, Kevin Martin, and he is sharing an incredible, inspiring story. I would say one of the most inspiring stories I have ever heard. I don't think he needs any further introduction, but for those who are new to the channel or new into poker, Kevin Martin is a very successful poker streamer. He won Big Brother in Canada as well, and today on the show, and he's sharing his journey. He's sharing a lot of tips and advice, and also how he grew the confidence, also becoming a confident streamer. So lots of value in this episode as well. And if you guys also have any ideas or any suggestions for who you want to see on the podcast, drop it in the comments. And now let's jump right into the podcast. And we are live. Kevin, welcome on the stream. Super happy to have you here tonight, and appreciate very much taking the time. Welcome, buddy.
Ben, it's great to be here, brother. It's an exciting time. 2021, middle of May. The year is flying. Tail end of the pandemic. Live poker about to make its return with the live WSOP. We got summer, just a lot going on in life. There's a lot going on, and I'm excited to talk about it all with you today, man. You're one of my favorites, and we just got a million things to talk about that I'm excited about.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to cover all of it, but yeah, so then let's dive right into it, man. Like, what is happening lately? I see you're attacking the high stakes. Feels like we're... Huh?
Yeah, first of all, I'm concerned for your well-being. There is ice on your foot right now, correct?
Yes.
What you have to explain to us? Are you okay? Are you injured?
I'm okay. Got a little bit of like here and here, like on my eye today. It was a bit more intense sparring, but it's all good. Basically, usually you wear protectors when you do sparring and kickboxing, but somehow it slipped. So I basically kicked with my foot right into his knee, and he has a very like strong knee. So that was a bit of painful. Now it needs some ice and some recovery, but it's all good. It's part of the process.
You're kickboxing sparring, full striking.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it's very careful. It's not hardcore. Like he's a very experienced trainer, and he's probably like 30%, and I'm going 100%. It's still like a struggle for me. But it's so interesting.
Ben, do you think you could beat me up? Me versus you?
I don't know. What's your height?
No, I'm a big guy. I'm 6 foot tall. I've never done what I really want to do is train jiu-jitsu. It's always been on my list. I would love to train jiu-jitsu. I'm obsessed with the idea of like grappling, and it seems like it's really like a cerebral game of submitting an opponent, closing the distance. But yeah, no, you could probably kick my ass. I've never been in a fight, I fight in the online poker world, but physically with another person, I've never actually thrown down. Come close a couple times. Often avoidance, I think, is a little bit smarter than actually engaging in a physical altercation. But okay, so you're okay. That's not going to affect.
No. Maybe here and there, I might need to grab my eyes and replace on my foot, but it's all good. It's all good. What I highly recommend is also Krav Maga. It really also not only teaches you the aspects of engaging with people in a certain way or certain techniques. I think it's more about the mindset. Like the first rule is Krav Maga is all about avoiding the fight in the first place.
For sure.
Becoming very aware and self-conscious about the situation and avoiding crucial or critical situations, and also the art of talking to people when you get evolved into a potential threat, and like talking yourself out of it. That was like, oh, right, it's actually more about the mindset then. And then of course, if there's no way out, to teach you certain techniques. And what I really like, and if everyone that is watching, if you're interested, if you have someone that is telling you, okay, this is the technique and it always works. No, it does not, because it's messy on the street. It's not like, with your boxing moves, you will win every fight. It's like, you increase your chances of surviving. You increase your chance of winning the fight, because unexpected things can happen. There could be a second guy, third guy coming from the side, or they have some sort of utility that they're using against you. Sure. So that's what I really like. Basically, like practicing those real life situations that can come up. I remember we had Jeremy in Vienna, and we were practicing. Like, he was sitting in front of me. What was your fucking shit course? It didn't help you. Then he tried to punch me. He just, it's like these kind of situations that, of course, was more playful and fun, but it's also a very challenging martial arts.
I want to add that tool to my tool belt eventually, because while I am a larger individual, if someone actually wanted to come beat me up, I think it would be relatively useless. I've been able to avoid. So I live in Alberta. So in Canada, have you ever been to Alberta, Ben?
No, but I've been to Canada.
Okay. Before. So Alberta is like kind of like the Texas of Canada. Like, we're a little old school, cowboys, conservative. So I think the average bar fight happens in Alberta more than other provinces, is what I would have to say. But again, if you're at a bar and some guy wants to fight you, it's just, if you enter that, we're poker players, we understand risk reward.
Yeah,
it's a complete lose-lose, because even if you knock him out, like, it's like the win-win is just avoiding for sure.
Lawsuits.
I love the idea of. I mean, I think you would agree with this. One of my favorite things in life is finding something that you enjoy and are bad at. That combination is a beautiful thing. If you enjoy something and are bad at it, and you can actively work to improve, me, absolutely. That's one of the most satisfying feelings, is like seeing an intense progression and putting in work. For example, I'm a big golfer, and that's one of the reasons I'm so invested in golf is it's an individual game that has a score, and it's only you to blame. There's a little bit of variance, but not really. Like, you go out on the course and it's a mental game, and I like to see improvement and stuff like that. So eventually, I think I'll get into martial arts eventually, but not right now, Ben. I'm trying to get better at poker over here, dude. I'm trying to increase my poker skill. We're all
trying, man. It's not just you.
Yeah. I would agree. Sorry, I would agree. When you say we're all trying, I would agree, dude. So I've been a poker content creator for a long time, and the climate, at least in my experience with my community or the people I engage with, there is a new thirst to improve and improve readily. That wasn't there 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I think the poker dream, while we're not in the poker boom era anymore, and it's not as easy. I mean, there's lots of stories of people putting in a lot of hard work and actually getting to the top of the poker world, and people recognize that, and a lot of people are going for it right now. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. However, this also creates a lot of confusion, because you have so many different people saying you should be doing A, and then you should be doing B, and then another guy says you should be doing C. And very often the thing is, everything is correct. And this is a little bit what I would consider as one of the biggest challenges right now, that if you do learn from multiple sources, which is always great, that you always take it with a little bit of grain of salt. I'm very, very straightforward when I see in our Discord people nitpicking on, you should have bet, you should have checked. I was like, listen, guys, all of you guys are now spending 30 minutes, 5 different guys on a spot that it's literally no difference at all in terms of the EV. This is not efficient studying and learning. Whereas you could study short stack spot, ICM spots, big hero calls on the river or whatever. It's just, very efficient studying is very, very important. And I agree with you. It's definitely a great time for becoming good in poker relatively fast, because there's so many sources out there. What's your favorite way of studying? Are you more the visual type? Are you more the practical guy that you just need to play a lot of hands? How does it work for you?
Yeah, let's talk about it all. I would love to hear your perspective, because you are a poker streamer, obviously, but you're a poker coach. I'm just a streamer. So you have more experiences with following students' careers and improving. So let's break it down, man. A unique thing about my story is when I started in 2015, I went live to Twitch. I was one of the first streamers. Jamie Staples was streaming and Jay Carver was streaming. Essentially back then, Ben, because before 2015, it was against the terms of service to gamble on Twitch. If you went live with gambling content, you would have gotten banned. It was actually against the rules. Jamie Staples knew that this was about to change. I don't know how he got this information. He knew that terms of service was about to change and you could stream poker on Twitch. He told me about it. And he's like, this is going to be massive. You have to do this. You have to do this. I'm like, man, this is such a waste of time. What is this Twitch thing, dude? This is, at the time, I was playing live poker, Ben, and I was playing 1-2 No Limit Hold'em live here in Alberta. I was making about $23 an hour. I thought I was living the dream, man. I'm like, I'm at the peak of poker success, dude. Why would I go create content on Twitch? Doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, so I went live on Twitch, playing an average buy-in of $10 and losing substantially. And it really took about 3 months. And I had a conversation with it was actually Elliot Rowe, and he gave me some very harsh advice. His advice was, "You suck." He's like, "You're bad." He's like, you're not unlucky. You're just actually shit at poker. And if you want to improve and have a career, you need to put in the work. And he put me on a pretty strict study plan. It was about 7 to 10 hours a month. And that's actually where I went really hard at Raise Your Edge. Do you remember when the Raise Your Edge Masterclass was released?
Yeah.
It was a very for sure. Started working with you, putting in work, and the improvement did come. And then, I went from losing at an average buy-in of $10 to winning at an average buy-in of about $30 to eventually $50. And I had a really nice graph at the mid stakes, and I was winning and beating the game for a solid
Even
ROI.
live, if I remember, you had a lot of deep runs live as well.
Live clicked. In 2018, I went on a crazy live run. It was just all in this, accumulation of like really. So what you were great at teaching me through that course was how to exploit weak tournament fields, how to play winning poker, and the fundamentals about how to beat weak fields. That's what I learned, and it worked really well. And still to this day, if people want training content, I mean, I'm not saying you can go check my VODs on Twitch. I say it all the time. I really think in terms of beating soft fields, it's some of the best content ever created.
Yeah, appreciate it, Ben.
But now, Ben, I want to talk to you about the next leap. I'm trying, to go to the next leap to, eventually try to beat or at least be very confident in an average buy-in of, $200 potentially, or even $300 or $400. And that's the journey I'm on right now. So exciting times.
I have good news and bad news for you, and probably for everyone out there. It's that kind of mindset, and this is what I'm sensing here right now. Might be a lot of players and viewers watching or listening right now. It's okay, I might be doing well on these certain stakes, and I want to take the next step. It's not that much different. The biggest obstacle or the biggest pitfall for a lot of aspiring players is, now I start playing $500 tournaments, $1,000 tournaments, and I need to do all these big bluffs or crazy plays. Reminds me a little bit of your Queen 7 hand on the river, but you do the quiz, you're gonna go through it, what I did for you, and you will see the solution for it. I don't want to spoil too much here right now. But long story short, and I also had a YouTube video called How to Study, and we put it on the description. It's really great, where I show actually how much money you make with bluffs and how much money you make with value hands. And I think it has been one of the most best received feedbacks of our channel. And even though it's like a 1 hour, 2 hour long seminar, it's like crazy. Like usually the long content doesn't really work on YouTube. People want to have the fast-paced action, bam boom content. And actually it was blowing up and has gotten, for its lengths, quite a lot of views. And I think people realize, oh wow, that's insane. I highly recommend you checking this out, where I really show, okay, listen, like you make so much money with value hands and so little with bluffs. It's like a 200 big blind pot, and you make with your river bluff 0.7 big blinds. So consider a little bit of ICM, consider a bit of edge, then all things considered, it's probably minus EV. And this is where I think a lot of players also have realized, okay, maybe I had the wrong priorities. And I would say it's really about reducing more mistakes from your game, blunders. On high stakes, people probably just do a few more mistakes here and there. You need to find another hero call. But I have to tell you, I feel like on higher stakes, also people have bigger egos. They're gonna make crazier calls. They don't like to be pushed around. They're also a little less scared money. So if you run deep as a chip leader, you will experience it more often that you can't really exploit the situation. You even have to play a little tighter as a chip leader and adjust to that situation. These are the main adjustments I make. Like sometimes if I stream and I have a big stack, I'm not opening loose. Whereas in other situations, I open extremely loose because I know they don't care. They play for the win. Also, a lot of very rich poker players and high stakes crushers, all they care about is the glory. Like they made millions. Okay, there's 100K on top, which is of course shitload of money for a lot of people out there, and also for me, don't get me wrong, but it's like, if you have 5 million on the bank account, you don't really care whether you make 50K or 100K in this tournament, and then there's just like, they want to win this tournament. So these are all aspects that you need to take into consideration. Of course, if you just try to move up on the higher stakes, then you might not be experienced with this and you try to overcomplicate. And it's probably one of the most common questions I receive. Ben, I'm going to be taking shots at $100, $200 tournaments. What am I supposed to do different? What is the stuff I need to incorporate? It's like, no, play your game, dude. And then whatever you experience, then revisit it, learn it, get feedback. But first of all, don't change anything.
That's great advice, man. I'm so happy for you that you had a monstrous scoop. I mean, you just absolutely, because there was a couple. I mean, shout out to Dominic Niche. I think he was posting some of your charts. Maybe firing a couple of shots your way or whatever.
That's cool.
Like with me, I'm a streamer. I'm a streamer. I'm very vocal. It's like, hey, yeah, I'm on this journey and I've gotten so much better than where I used to be. But I punt all the time. You know what I mean? But you're like a coach. You know what I mean? So I was just really happy for you that you went live on Twitch, played the highest stakes, and made hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was sick, man. It was awesome to watch. You just crushed it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. But and then also people ask me, okay, so why are you revealing the scores and everything? And for me, it was because it gets crazier and crazier, and I also want to keep the transparency. And this, I'm never going to share my overall winnings lifetime because I still appreciate the privacy. But here and there, I like to do it just to show you guys. Because even let's say I had 1 million in buy-ins, around 990K or something, and I would have cashed for 700K. Let's say I would have just accumulated all the cashes, and I would say, I cashed for 700K during a scoop. And I would have never said how many buy-ins I actually have. Most people would have thought, he probably made like 200, 300K, right? Mm-hmm. But it's so crazy with these high buy-ins. If you see a high stakes crusher, like he wins 2 big tournaments in a row in 2 weeks. Yeah, but in these days, like easily every day, 50K to 100K buy-ins. So this was our goal behind it, to show really people, okay, like, yeah, I had 1.6 million in cashes, and I had only it was an insane scoop for me, don't get me wrong. But again, like, picture what would you have thought if you weren't really aware of the amount of buy-ins, and I would just post, yeah, Ben CB at 800K in cashes, all these scores and blah, 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 all these deep runs. Probably the perception would have been, wow, he was winning during scoop, right? But honestly, I would have been down 200K. And this is very dangerous in these days. And I didn't really care if I'm up or down. I think the people that follow us and know me, that I'm doing really well with online poker. And this is, I care about these people's opinion because they put some thought into it, what they say. And, they're not just some random haters or some chat pros. And I wanted to raise more awareness for that current landscape on online poker.
Yeah, man, I have a similar effect too, where on my channel, the last 3 months, I've done so well in the medium stakes tournaments, multiple wins, and like even in some $500 tournaments we've won, just like overall consistent deep runs. And everyone's like, "You're up, you're crushing, you must be up so much." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I have also bricked every 2K I've played." You know, like people don't realize, when you fire those higher buy-ins, how quickly they add up. Yeah, man, I was really pumped for you to have a big scoop. I've never been more excited about poker ever. And I got into poker in 2015, and people are like, you missed the glory years, man. You missed the glory years.
They say it every year.
What are you talking about, man? We're in them, dude. We're in the glory years, especially on Twitch, especially on Twitch as well. We're in the poker content years of glory, man. It's anybody can make a show, anybody can make content and become, a decent sized streamer if possible. A lot of people have tried and burned out and failed. I mean, even I hung it up for a while a year ago or whatever.
You took a break, right?
Took a break. It's been 1 year officially, almost to the day where I got back into poker. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 1 year officially. Yeah, I took a break, but that's exactly what I needed. Because part of it was, there was a lot of shitty stuff going on in my life that I had to deal with. But that break, man, Ben, that break combined with the pandemic was a beautiful thing for me in a way where I really got to go down to my core and say, all right, I'm 28 years old. What am I got to patch up the leaks in my life. Eating healthier, massive. What is my sleep schedule like? Are you taking care of me? Because when I was in my early 20s, you just don't really consider that. You can potentially go have a night of drinking, rebound a little bit easier than it used to be. You know, but now that I'm getting to my late 20s, I've realized that they're like, man, if this is, you know, people say, oh, that doesn't really correlate to your poker results. I think it absolutely does, at least for me. You know, just coming to the tables, coming to the session. If you're playing an online poker session, you're going to strap in for 8 to 10 hours. You're making high stakes decisions. You need a strong mental game to power through. Having the workout before, having the meditation before. I think it's all very, very, very important. I watch your Instagram stories. You're all about that, dude. You're doing all sorts of biohacks and life optimization stuff.
I would say I got a little too hard on it at some point, because, you know, it's like if you do 10 different morning routines at 7 p.m. in the evening, and you can already go to bed. So I got way more selective and just picked really what it works for me. 1 minute cold shower, 20-minute meditation. I work out 4 times a week, maybe 5 minutes of journaling. That's it, like 30 to 60 minutes for my morning routine. And this is great for me. It's not just, you know, putting my mind straight, but also taking care of my body. Because in the long run, it pays off. I haven't been sick for the last 5 years, where others, you know, 2, 3, 4 weeks a year they are sick, and I just have that advantage of having more time, you know, and not staying in bed and recovering. And this is just the way I love approaching it. I'm very rational, very practical. Say, all right, with a few tweaks, you know, I got more time and I can outwork everyone else by following this. How is it for you? Like, what was okay? Listen, like you said, you took that break, right?
Yeah.
Have you had a crucial moment where it made click? Okay, I need to take more care of myself. Were you burnt out? Did you have a serious conversation? Like, what was the changing moment for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was in 2019 when I hung it up. I had staggered in my poker. I had staggered in my poker results, and my dad passed away at the same time.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I staggered in my poker results. It's okay. It's shitty, but it happens. And the combination of my dad and my grandpa passed away within 3 weeks of each other. Plus, I was staggered in my poker results. I wasn't healthy. My Twitch stream is staggered, and I just said, I'm hanging it up, man. That's why I threw in the towel, because I said I'm done with this. I just wasn't in a good place, and that whole thing. And yeah, man. I mean, my fiance used to talk about this all the time, and I remember this. I would always need an afternoon nap. Almost for sure, I would get to 2 p.m. and I would crash, and I could not focus. I could not do anything. I would need to go lie down. About 3 or 4 times a year, I would get sick. Almost guaranteed after a live poker event, when I came back during that week, I would get a cold that would knock me out for like 3 days. 3 days where I couldn't do anything. And now that I've made these positive changes to my life of like, these aren't radical things. These aren't radical things. Number one, move your body once a day. Your body needs to work out once a day. Even if it's not a full-fledged workout, it needs a 20-minute walk. It needs a 10-minute jog. It needs some sort of stimulation. And we're talking about this before we went live. The human body is far more resilient and adaptable to anything that we're ever going to throw at it. Really, it really is. We're not even getting to the peak of what is possible. So yeah, it was a combination of all this stuff. And then I was like, okay, so I started eating better. More proteins, less on the carbohydrates, just tracking calories. You don't have to track, but just I'm finding an unbelievable well of energy now. I wake up, I'm ready to go, and I have energy until 8 p.m. the entire day. I have intense focus and energy the whole day. I don't need to nap. It's just like, I feel like I'm going to look back at this change I've made this last year and be like, okay, there was a before Kevin and an after Kevin. You know, also, I did Big Brother. I did a season of Big Brother Canada in 2017, and I watched myself on it, and I'm just chubby, sluggish, exhausted, tired. It's like I was living such an unhealthy lifestyle, and now I feel like I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for my life, man. I'm 28. Who knows what could happen? We got years to go. So the biggest changes for me, diet and exercise are massive. Tracking sleep is also huge as well. I always used to struggle getting to sleep. I'd always stay up late and be like, oh, I have an insomnia. No, it's like you're on your cell phone at 1 a.m. What are you doing, kid? Like, put the cell phone away. Give yourself a chance to chill out. Also, meditation is just so massive as well.
Yeah.
For years, I tried to meditate every day, and even though it's just 10 minutes, your mind always gets distracted or comes up with excuses. But I got a really nice meditation streak going on that's been going for a long time.
Nice, man.
Every day.
I've seen your post. You also sent me a message on IG, and I was proud of you, man. It was like a year
Thanks,
ago.
Man,
yeah.
Yeah, these are all some new changes in my life that I'm very excited about. And also this one, I would recommend some people try this. I'm hard on the cold showers now too. I heard you talk about cold showers forever, and I was like, that doesn't sound very pleasant. And oh boy, it's not. But go in the shower, turn that cold water on, and just deal with it. And it's so refreshing and very uncomfortable, borderline painful. But now, I mean, I haven't taken a hot shower in months, and it's so exciting, and you come out feeling so good, and yeah, man, we got a lot of cool life things going on right now. I feel like I've made some very positive changes, and while there is some COVID fatigue, no doubt, there's some COVID fatigue. I'm very excited about the changes I made during this pandemic, and I think we got some great years ahead.
So even though it's a disaster, of course, we don't want to just say like, oh, what a great opportunity, but you use it to make some changes in life. Say, okay, this is how it is. I'm locked up. I can't go to the gym. Let's sit down. Let's make a plan and execute on that. And you just followed up with it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the way it went for a lot of people. I think, nobody's excited about a pandemic or whatever, but some people did seize the extra time and the opportunity to make some positive. It seems like my friends, it seems like I would say about 50% made some really positive changes. And then the other 50% actually, I think, regressed a little bit, put on 20 pounds or something. But yeah, it was an interesting year. It was a very interesting year. How was your take on the whole, you probably thrived and did some great stuff.
For me, nothing has really changed. I'm a cave person. Like, I do my exercise, I do my workouts. Of course, I miss the little things, but I would say there are billions of people that have it way worse than me. So I'm not going to be complaining, oh, I can't go to restaurants anymore. I think it would be very disrespectful to those who have hit rock bottom, and so that's all good from my side. And I'm just trying to live healthy. I'm just trying to stay in a good shape, and I enjoy working out from home anyway. So I just need a towel and 3 square meters to do my burpees, and I'm in a happy place. I don't need a lot of shit, and I'm always wondering, okay, now I can't do my workout, without my equipment in the gym. It's like, well, okay, keep finding those excuses. There's like millions of YouTube videos that show you home workouts, and I know your girl was also doing some incredible stuff. I've been, checking out what she was doing. So because it's great, man. I really, it seems like you guys are a great fit, man. Like you seem to be like very inspirational for each other, and very happy for you.
I'm obsessed. So my fiance, Peely, is a full-time personal trainer, and yeah, she's always 8-pack shredded. She's like a positive energizer bunny indeed. We recently got engaged, gonna get married.
Congratulations.
Potential for children in the next couple of years, which is crazy to think of, because I think about my time management. I feel like I'm already past capacity. I don't know how parents do it. I don't know how you can raise like a little human.
Yeah, it's definitely a scary thought for me.
Yeah, you could play some online 25Ks, have a little baby.
What should we do here? The baby ghosting?
Yeah. Yeah, so she's amazing. I'm very, people think I'm a sun runner. They're like, you're so lucky. And the proof that I'm with Peely is definitely that I'm batting above EV in my life, no doubt.
Well, but I guess it also comes from, being a person that attracts that kind of person. I think if you would be a grumpy person and no confidence and just also being very negative, I'm pretty sure you would have not attracted her, right? And I think it's really important. For me, the main fundamentals. At some point I was as a guy, when you grow up, you check out some content when it comes to relationships and picking up girls. And I think we all had that kind of phase, and it was more confusing. And then I met some really cool people. I just told you, listen, like, just figure out what you want, who you want, be this person. And then, of course, also having the courage to go and talk to some girls and women that you like, and just being honest about it. And that's it. Like, I didn't need some fancy lines. I was just going to someone saying, hi, I like you. I would like to get to know you better. Some would look at me as if I'm an alien or it's super awkward, but it's just okay. They're like maybe not ready yet and they're not used to it. It's certainly very uncommon in these days. But then, also met someone that I would consider now what is the love of my life, because she was like, oh, I really appreciate that honesty and directness and straightforwardness. And this is someone I wanted to have in my life, but if I just try to fake something with fake fancy lines and try to cover something, like cover some insecurities, then I will also not attract the person that I want to have in my relationship. So I think the big game changer was for me, like really sitting there, okay, who do I actually want? Most guys are like, okay, here, occasional hookup or one night stand, then see if she kind of looks great. And okay, if she kind of is like this kind of kind of here, kind of there, she's kind of open, and she, we make compromises. Like, no, like write down what you want, or be clear about who you want, what you want, and then go for it. And then I think you set the first layer, the first pillar for a healthy relationship.
And you hit on something really good there. You said the main concept I got from that, the fear of failure is such a controlling thing. Yeah. It is so scary to fail. It really is. With poker or with anything in life, if you put your full energy into something and life kicks you down and you're not good enough in that certain moment, that's really hard. That's really hard for me. That's really hard for any human.
Yeah.
One thing that I've really tried to get better at the last couple of years is accepting losses. Accepting losses and just being like, all right, because the beautiful thing about poker is you can show up, you put in your full effort with your study, you put in your full effort with your session, and sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose, and you have to accept either result.
Yeah.
The result, you will have more wins if you play well, but any given day you can throw out massive losses. I go live to Twitch, I'm either going to win thousands or lose thousands every single day, and I've learned to accept either outcome and not tie my mental state to the result. But now I try to tie my mental state to the process. Did I play well today? Did I show up? Did I play my best game? And if the answer is yes, that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
And like the fear of failure is so massive. I remember again being like a 17-year-old kid, terrified to talk to girls. Terrified. Even unable to go up to them and say hello because I wasn't confident in myself. What if they say no? They're gonna laugh at me. Ben, I'm very curious. What was you growing up? What was your did your family have money at all? What was your
not a lot. It was solid. I think middle class, good apartment. Like nothing was gifted in my life. Like I had to earn my pocket money. So it was like,
I'm not surprised, man. I'm not there is a thing. There is an absolute thing. So I grew up, I had a place to live, and they gave me food and they gave me encouragement. And but I had to earn everything.
Yeah.
I had to earn everything. There was absolutely. I remember going to school, and I always hated this day because the day after you return to school after Christmas, I hated this, and it made me so uncomfortable. And I know it made other kids uncomfortable, but you would go around the class, and everyone would say what they got for Christmas. Every child would say I got a PS3. Oh, I got the new Wii.
Yeah.
And it got to me, and my parents did give me gifts, but nothing to the caliber of the other children, And we didn't have a lot of money. And boy, man, it wasn't fun at the time, but it instilled a determination and a grit in me that I am forever thankful for. Yeah. I had to go, earn some stuff. I was like, and I think some of those other kids, while they got those treats and those pleasures in the moment, I don't think they got instilled with the grit and the determination. They didn't have to fight for anything. Like I potentially had to fight for some stuff. So like in hindsight, it wasn't fun to go through some of that, but like, you know, it prepared me as an adult. And I think, you know, if you can have an up and down childhood, I think it prepares you for life a little bit more than, you know, I have some friends who are in their 20s and I'm like, okay, I think you got spoiled as a child. You know, I think everything was given to you just with their inability to handle some ups and downs in life.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I would say that this has probably also served me really well in my career as well, too. Just, okay, you got to work for it, right? Nothing is for granted, nothing is gifted, and just got to try your best. But I would like to touch on one more point that you brought up, because you said, you know, you work hard, you study, you sometimes lose, you sometimes win. And especially when it comes to dating, and I think we have been all at this point in time, or we have been at this point in our lives at some point, when we were 22, 18 years old, whatever, you know, we were looking for girls or boys, depending on our orientation. And what I was doing, and I would be really curious how it was for you, I was always putting me in the center of the spotlight. If a girl liked me, I was like, dude, I'm the biggest fucker in the world. Like, I'm great, you know? And she might have just had a great day, you know, just maybe we met and she just had a great day at work, and like everyone in the world could have approached her or met her, and she would have been nice and kind and responsive and talkative. But on the flip side, if I was nice and funny, you know, you meet a girl at a party and you chat and she's all grumpy and mad and you're like, oh, I suck, like I'm such an idiot, like girls hate me, you know. It's like I was making my mood depending on her or his response. Even if you talk to guys, you know, like you have the interaction, even if sometimes if you talk to dudes, you know, like somehow they don't really like it. They just might have a bad day, or you remind them of someone they had a very bad experience with, you know. It just sometimes it doesn't match, and it just at some point it made click to me. I was like, all right, she's having a good time, she's in a good mood, let's not take ourselves too serious, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But on the flip side, if I got a very negative response, then I was like, all right, maybe she just has a bad day. Let's still reflect, though. Let's reflect. Maybe I said something awkward. Maybe my joke was not funny, which is very likely the case since I'm from Germany. So it could have had multiple reasons. Same as poker, right? You might have had a bad session at the end. You don't really know. Was I misplaying a lot of hands? Was it variance? All right, let's sit down. Let's reflect. And I think it's just life. That's how life is. It's just there's so many variables. So we should never take ourselves too serious.
For sure, man. Yeah, absolutely. You got to approach. I mean, I think that's just a pretty common thing with. I mean, when you're growing up and you hit 18, 19, 20, 21, yeah, you're just starting your adulthood. It's very rare to see a young 20-year-old who's truly comfortable with themselves.
Yeah,
know?
Of course.
I don't think it's impossible, but it's pretty tough. I was, in my early 20s, I often portrayed confidence, and a lot of that was truly fake. I didn't really, you know, I kind of believed in myself, but I was never truly comfortable. But now, you know, if I went to a party or at a social gathering at 20 and someone blew me off, it would hurt. It would really hurt and potentially linger in my mind, not only for the night, but for a week. Now I'm like, okay, if this person, I don't care. I got so much going, like, you know, and that's another thing with like online comments and social media usage. And, you know, on Twitch, back when I started, I would make bad plays. People would say you suck. It would really hurt, because partly it was true, you know. Now, thankfully, I've been able to grow an audience. People say nasty things to me every day, and I'm like, it doesn't have the same resonance. It just kind of bounces off a little bit more, because I have found that a little bit more experience and a little more confidence. I'm curious, another thing that I've really tried to go after this year is monitoring social media usage, and I'm curious, what's your take on that? Do you have any habits with your phone? Are you always dialed in?
Yeah, first of all, I don't have Twitter on my phone, for example. Like if I would be able to make stories with my computer, I also would have deleted Instagram from my phone. So I have turned off all notifications. I also have, at some point, it blocks my app, so I have to manually release it. So I try to incorporate obstacles to make it more harder to check on social media. I'm definitely still using it too much, I would say, but it's like also, with a business, it's also easy to have the excuse, I'm doing it for business reasons. I'm doing research on the social media feed. But yeah, when you post stories, so I'm okay with it, but I'm also okay with it. Like I try to have like, I went to Iceland for a week, trying to do social media detox for a week or stuff like that, just to remind myself, all right, it's not the word. And funny enough, last week I forgot my phone at the training on Friday. I was like, should I go back? Fuck it, I'm gonna pick it up on Monday. I was like, it's actually a great opportunity to just have a weekend without the phone, But my coach is too kind. He brought it to me Friday night, but I was not really okay. Whatever. Like, how is it for you?
That's one thing. That's one thing I've really tried to get better, because I'll put my hand up. I'm full-fledged addicted to the phone. In small,
we all are, for sure.
Yeah, our brains are so constantly stimulated. The amount of time we're either in front of our cell phones or something else is like, it's very rare, and our attention spans are shorter than ever. So I have tried a couple things. I tried to remove email from my phone. I do still have the Twitter and Instagram on there, which can be slightly intoxicating sometimes, especially late in the evening. It's so dumb. Like it'll be like 10 p.m. It'll be time for me to go to bed, and I'll be on Twitter. I'm like, this is not productive or whatever. But that's something I'm trying to. I still have lots of leaks there for sure, but I'm trying to get a little better with that. It's just so damn addictive, man. In the palm of our hand, this technology is so new and so powerful. I'm like, where's this going to be in 10 years?
Yeah.
If we went back 25 years and told people we would have this device that had unlimited potential to call anyone, you're in Germany, I'm in Canada. This communication was impossible 30 years ago, and now it's not only possible, it's just like totally so accepted,
Yeah, for sure.
What's happening in 20 years, man? Where are we gonna be at in the world in 20, 30, 40 years? Impossible to know.
Virtually playing live poker, virtual reality, I guess, like kind of thing probably happening. But one more thing I wanted to bring up about the social media thing. I think focus and attention is going to be a scarce resource in general. I think it's if you want to be working with people, it's literally becoming a resource, a very, very scarce resource. Having people that can focus for 1 hour, 2 hours on one thing, or even just for 30 minutes. And so what I'm trying also to do in order to maintain that is, daily, if I have these situations that if I brush my teeth, I'm not going to be checking my phone. I'm just going to be there for 3 minutes. If I walk to the training, 50 minutes, I'm not going to be checking my phone. If I wait for my girlfriend, if it's just 2 minutes, all right, just sit on the bench, just wait. As it used to be in the school, when I was 9 years old, I was on the tram for 50 minutes staring out of the window. There was nothing. So I think it's a very important skill, and with just a few small tweaks. There was a book, it was called, and it said embrace the boredom. On a daily basis, here and there, if you wait for the elevator 1 minute, embrace the boredom. Just look around.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful, very, very powerful practice you can do on a daily basis everywhere. If you wait in a line on the grocery store, just wait, look at the people around, maybe have a smile or have a chat, or don't do anything, just observe the people, just don't do nothing, embrace the boredom. Right?
Yeah, that's great. I'm reading a similar book called The Power of Now, and they're talking about
Eckhart Tolle, I guess.
Yeah. It's a little out there. But again, the similar concept of like, yes, there is a past and there is a future, but the only way we're ever going to perceive the world is in the now. Whether it's the future 100%. Or the past. The only time we're ever going to experience the world is in the now, and do embrace the boredom. Absolutely. There's one thing I've really started.
Deep Work is the book, by the way.
Deep Work, dude. Have you tried a sensory deprivation tank?
Yes.
Do they have these things in Germany?
It's where you're floating.
You float in water that is similar to the room temperature.
Yeah.
Complete darkness.
Yeah, I tried it once. I think it works really well, but at this point in time, I think it was really warm, and they had different cabins, and I had one cabin that was next to the generator, so this room was a little warmer. Like I was sweating like fuck. It was really exhausting for 1 hour, but I think it's great. I'm gonna try it again. I think it was just an unlucky moment, and I also told her, and she said, yeah, this room like occasionally can get a little warmer. So yeah, I was I think you're in there for 2 hours, and I had to go out for three, 4 times to take a cold shower to just cool down. And
then go really?
Back. Yeah. So
it sounds like you're in a hot tub. That's not what it's supposed to be. Ideally, in a sensory deprivation pod, the water is supposed to match the temperature of your skin and the air.
Yeah.
Ideally, it is supposed to give you the sensation that you are floating and that you cannot feel everything.
Yeah.
If the temperature is perfect and it's complete darkness and you don't hear anything. People, I'm always posting these sensory deprivation things to Instagram or whatever, and people are like, "What do they like?" or whatever. It is the closest sober experience I have ever had to a psychedelic trip.
Oh wow!
It is the closest thing that I have ever experienced in my sober state of mind that actually takes me to a different state of consciousness. And it's trippy, man. It's really cool because, again, our brain are always stimulated. You were there floating in complete darkness for an hour. And I mean, again, we're so stimulated mentally. You know, we have meeting after meeting after meeting. Like I just had a meeting. We're doing the Raise Your Edge podcast. I'm studying with my coach later today. If you're just blazing through life, you're on this hamster wheel of eternal spinning. You need to take moments to get off the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And you can't constantly be on this thing. And your brain is like, your brain has this email box, and it just gets so full and so stuffed, and you avoid thinking about it because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If you can take these moments with meditation, these sensory deprivation pods, you get a chance to go through the email box and really think through the things that are happening in your life and really have conversations with yourself. And yeah, it just overall has led to an increase in my mental health, no doubt.
Yeah, I should do it also more on a regular basis. So, I mean, we have been talking a little bit about, confidence and growing up. And to me, you seem... And I'm asking this because this is also a question I receive a lot. You seem someone who naturally doesn't care what others think, and is it really natural for you, or have you gone through a period in your life where you realize, all right, okay, Kevin, you're caring too much. We need to change that. We need to care less, especially when you started streaming. And how was it during your childhood? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on that, on your journey.
I mean, there's been a lot of therapy. Shout out to my man Elliot Rowe.
Oh yeah, great man.
I've been working very heavy with Elliot Rowe, and Elliot Rowe is a hypno/life coach. I just call him my life coach. It's like, okay, when I was first introduced to this dude, I was like, okay, like, all right, man, sure, you're a hypnotherapist, but I bought in, and literally life transforming. For sure, yeah. No, it wasn't always natural, especially like I talked about in the early 20s, where these young people, myself, not confident at all, and it took a big progression. It took a long time. Exposure on Twitch, I was, exposed to opinions on the internet, and then on the second time I did Big Brother. So the second time I went on Big Brother Canada in 2017. I won the game. But I wasn't loved. There were some people supporting me or whatever, but I was a bit of a villain. I wasn't beloved by the audience, let's just say. So going into a reality TV show, winning, best moment of your life, and then coming out and being exposed to potentially a lot of negative opinions. It's like, oh, this isn't fun, but it did train me. That's like, okay, there was a lot of therapy done with Elliot Rowe on this Big Brother season, because that was an insane, man, talk about the highs. And so I've done, poker can get intense. You can get in some big spots or whatever, but I would say the most intense mental thing I've ever done is definitely Big Brother. It's insane. It's insane, being locked away from society for 3 months, only seeing the same 15 people or whatever for 3 months at the same time. But no, it's been a long work in progress, Ben, and there's still a lot of work to do for sure. But I definitely at 28, this is when the most, I have the most confidence I've ever had, and truly peace with who I am. I didn't necessarily have that in my early 20s.
So it's basically you grew that confidence through immersing into that pain, that uncomfortable situation of going into the tank of Big Brother and, being exposed and just, okay, now we got to do it, right? So
Yeah.
would you think if you would have not done Big Brother that you would have not grown that confidence?
I think it would have come, but probably a lot slower. That was like a baptism by fire. I mean, talk about developing a thick skin, going on a reality TV show where you're in a house with 24/7 hour cameras, exposed to people's opinions. I mean, that's as probably as insane as it gets,
Yeah.
That the reality TV experience, I think it should be 25 plus, man. I don't think they should. I legitimately, if you go on Survivor or Big Brother or one of these shows, I think it should be 25 plus. We can potentially look back at some of these reality shows. I had an all right experience.
Yeah.
But some people come out of this scarred, dude. Scarred.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very, very, very intense experience. Talk about like learning to go through some highs and lows. I did one season. Yeah. One season I was beloved. I was one of the favorite house guests. People thought I was the best. The second time I did it, some of my own actions, people turned on me perception wise. But can I tell you, have I told you how I won Big Brother?
No.
Dude, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. So
Big
story. Brother.
We want to hear.
So Big Brother, there's these competitions, right? Mm-hmm. There's these competitions where you play a mental game or whatever, and if you win, you're safe.
Yeah.
I was in a spot at the final 8. There was 8 people left. All 7 of them wanted to vote me out. All of them. I had no allies. It was 7 versus 1, Ben. It was
what did you do, man? Did you steal everyone's cookies or?
I just didn't vibe with them. I didn't vibe with them. I had allies, but my allies got voted out.
Oh, okay.
Until eventually it was the rest of the house. So historically on Survivor or Big Brother, when it is the group versus one, the one always goes home because they have the votes. They have multiple opportunities to get me out. But if you watch Big Brother Canada, you're going to love this because this might get a little nerdy and technical, but this story is sick. This story is so cool, and I'm very proud of this. So there's competitions on Big Brother, mental games, puzzles, physical competitions. If you watch the seasons, they are very similar. They're not identical, but they essentially repeat every year. And I noticed this. And I said, wait up a second. It's the same thing. If someone studied and prepared, I think there could be a massive edge. So they phoned me in 2017. And they said, do you want to do Big Brother again? And I said, yes. I was streaming it full time. I said, okay, I'm going to stop my poker career. I phoned my friend and I was like, do you have a lot of free time? I need a favor. I need you to go through every season of Big Brother Canada. I need you to make notes on the competitions, what happened, what went down, who won, and most importantly, what was the optimal strategy used to win the competition. Sure enough, my friend did this. They sent me a giant booklet and I studied. I studied every competition in the history of Big Brother Canada. I knew exactly what was coming up. I knew when these competitions were going to play. I knew what strategies to use and how to gain an advantage. So, back to the game. It is 7 versus 1. Historically, I am toast, but I went on the craziest run in Big Brother history. Due to my pre-game study and knowledge of these competitions, I won 6 in a row, gained immunity every single week, and went on to win the game. Isn't that incredible? What a run. What a run.
Exploited the system. Very smart, man.
Absolutely. One of the reasons people hated that, I was not a popular character. And on the other side, there was a couple of characters that were the most popular characters in the history of the show. So dynamically, there was a very popular group of people that was trying to get me out and they couldn't. And dude, they had immense amounts of confidence. It was 7 versus 1. I won a competition, so I'm safe. One of them goes home. It's 6 versus 1. They're still laughing. They got the numbers. I won another competition. It's 5 versus 1. And I went on this run, and their confidence diminished as they realized the opportunities to get me out were very, very low. And then I did it. I won. I essentially won 6 in a row or something. I exploited the system, broke the game, so when you're looking at Big Brother, you're supposed to create you're supposed to create allies, make friends. I was kind of a bad player. To be in a spot where I'm all by myself and it's 7 versus 1, that is it means I'm not really good at the game.
Yeah.
But with my intense pregame study and my optimization of these competitions, it didn't matter. And it was like, it took me a long time to really feel happy about my win, because that wasn't plan A, but that was a strong plan B. And put in the work before the season started and then go on that run and dominate, man, it's like, now I can look back and I'm like so excited about it, because there have been hundreds of people who have played Big Brother in the North American version. Yeah. There's essentially no one who approached those competitions like I did.
Yeah.
And that's a story about how I studied and won Big Brother. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I love this story. That's absolutely mine. How did you get into it? Have you just applied? You just randomly said, listen, like, I want to go get into Big Brother. You applied and they accepted?
I wanted to be on Survivor. So growing up, my family always watched Survivor. I loved Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
But you had to be an American citizen, right? So I actually had a plan. I had a plan when I turned into an adult. I would go to the States, get dual citizenship to apply to be on Survivor. Because I remember when I was like 18 or whatever, I made a list of goals in my life. One of the top ones, essentially right at the top, was get on and win a reality TV show. I was obsessed with these shows. I always thought it was the coolest thing to go on a TV show. Big Brother Canada announced, and then to follow up on this as well, this is kind of cool. Big Brother Canada announced, and you go through a casting process. The casting process for reality TV is very intense. I applied, rejected. I applied again, rejected. So I applied twice, and I didn't get on both times. I said, what is going on here? And to further up with some study, I actually studied reality TV casting. I went and found a book. I read an entire book on it. I went and watched every YouTube video. I made notes. I was like, okay, how can a person get cast on reality TV?
I didn't even know that this kind of content exists, to be honest.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. So I studied the casting process as well, and equipped with that knowledge, the third time I applied, I went the entire way.
Well, what did you do different the third time?
You learn you got to present your personality in the same way. I essentially figure out your stereotype. There's always going to be stereotypes. There's going to be a nerd, a cool mom, a jock. Like these casting teams always put together house guests that fit certain stereotypes. If you can identify what stereotype you're going to be. So I knew my stereotype would be like young, cocky kid. I'm so smart, poker pro or whatever. And I played that up. I put my personality on steroids, and it worked like a charm, and I got on. So about 10,000 people apply for this thing every year. They take 16 out of 10,000. So the odds aren't in your favor. But thankfully I got on, and then, so yeah, that's a little, I appreciate my story arc through Big Brother now, because, it's it's very, very, very unique, but that all went on in my early 20s, and it's pretty crazy.
That's a great story, man. Even from the application, how many out of 10,000 are going to be looking into that and doing research? They probably got rejected once. They say bad luck, or they don't like me, whatever. I move on. Yeah. Right? I tried, and you just rejected second time. I was like, okay, well, what's going on? Let's do some research. Let's be better prepared and equip myself with more knowledge around the casting process, right? And it's insane, man. And I love these kind of stories, because it shows, well, you might get rejected once or twice, but there are always options. You got to be creative. I would have never anticipated that there's a market, there's content, there are books about that. That's crazy. Yeah. So there's always a way. Where's the will, there's a way, right? And
for great, sure.
Man. Love it. Very inspirational story. Thank you for sharing.
And and thank goodness I didn't give up. Thank goodness I applied a third time, because my fiance was on the show with me. That's how I met my fiance. So thank goodness.
Oh, she was also on the show.
Yes, so Peely was on my season of Big Brother, and we were both contestants. And
was she your ally at the show at this point in time?
What's that?
Was she your ally at this point in time?
She was my ally. She was my ally. So we fell in love, and then I met my fiance. I won the second season. What a time! What a time!
Great, man. And now you're crushing in poker. Is it for you with this kind of story? Like, did it open for you a lot of doors? Like, how was it afterwards, after winning Big Brother? Of course, you had a lot of attentions, right? And I guess a lot of people approaching you with some sort of projects and ideas and business opportunities. I just imagine this being a very busy time, man. Just, going through everything and settle down and.
It's reality TV is the true definition of 5 minutes of fame, especially on a Canadian reality show. Like, it gets some viewers, but it's like a Canadian, on the States, if you win, you get $500,000. In the Canadian show, you get 100,000, which is still unbelievable. But it's really, so you get on, and then afterwards, potentially some bar appearances or whatever, a boost to your social media platforms. But everyone essentially just goes back to real life. Like, it's rare that it definitely helped me, because I went to Twitch and I had this natural audience built in that, a lot of people did convert from the Big Brother audience to my poker audience, which I'm very thankful for. But yeah, it definitely launched everything and helped, especially my content career for sure. But isn't there like a German version of Survivor? Would you ever?
We have Big Brother here, I think, or we used to have it. I'm not watching a lot of TV. I just don't have the time for it. But I remember in my childhood, Big Brother first seasons was huge. Everyone was watching, and I was watching as well. Then second, third, it was flowing down. It was not that popular anymore because you see it once or twice, and then if the characters are not in particular interesting, or they're like big stories around the big drama, in the newspapers, and they cannot keep up with the hype, then it's staggering for sure. And but we have similar TV. We have this jungle kind of thing, like the jungle camp, where they put celebrities into jungle camp, or let's say B or C celebrities. And then it's all sorts of drama, and they have to eat all sorts of, very disgusting stuff and do challenges. And then they also get voted, but they get voted by the audience or by the observers, by the viewers. And
with me, I got a clear goal. Go from a decent poker player to really good. That is my goal right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're at the top of the food chain. Where does someone like you find inspiration to keep going? Like, what is the next goal for you?
For me, honestly, the people, because people have been always asking me, Ben, like, who is it that you look up to? And I was thinking about this. I don't have this one or two person that I'm like looking up to, and these are my role models. It's more like a lot of different people from different areas that I'm learning from. And what inspired me the most was not them having success, but being absolute legends in what they were doing, and this consistency. Look at a Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, there are hundreds, thousands of football players that have won titles, but then next season they're gone. Growing entitlement, growing a big ego, but being so persistent. And if you do some research about him, he wants to win every practice game. He wants to win every friendly game. And this kind of consistency in your success is something that I'm looking up to. Even I might be playing the highest stakes, and I'm very successful, and there are barely any higher stakes. For me, it's not about that. It's about doing this for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years and basically building a legacy. This is what drives me.
Yeah. I mean, you're on your way. Obviously, I'm not as equipped with the nosebleeds in online poker, but I imagine a ton of players go on heaters, win lots, then they try to move up to the 25Ks, 10Ks, and I imagine their time there is short-lived before they eventually drop down. You must see that all the time. People come in for a little bit and then leave.
I would say also in terms of poker coaching that I get requests, it's very often high-stakes players that used to have success and then just fell behind, growing entitlement, growing ego, and then they had to admit, okay, I was not... I was thinking I'm the biggest guy, and like I don't need to put in any study, and it's just going to continue like this. And this is a big fallacy. This is for a pitfall, a huge pitfall for every poker player. Too fast success, and I hope people are. That's why when you have a big score, keep playing the same stakes.
Yeah.
Keep playing the high stakes. It might be an outlier. It might just be good variance. It's really hard for you, especially with that emotional cocktail within your body of, oh my God, just won 70K, 50K. Now let's start playing 500s and 1Ks. You don't have the rationality in order to assess whether you beat those stakes that you're currently playing or whether it was just a pure sun run. So keep playing your $100 tournaments, $50 tournaments over larger samples, see where you're at after 1K tournaments, and then you can still reassess. I mean, you're not in the need to play higher stakes to make money. You just made 50K, or even if you played $10 tournaments and you won 10K, doesn't really matter. Like, put it aside and keep growing. I mean, here and there you can take some shots, but like for the most part, keep playing your same average buy and then see where it goes.
I mean, game selection is so huge. It's a little different for streamers. The fact that people play online poker without streaming is just so bizarre with me, because I've almost never played an online session without streaming it. It's just the way I've done it. But I was like, that's the 0.1% or whatever. Almost nobody does that. So game selection is just so huge, right? I mean, it really is beyond massive. For me as a streamer who is making money from content, it's all right for me to take a shot at a tournament I'm minus EV in, because it's content, professional poker is not my only form of income. But I see that a lot, especially just like there's so many soft good spots in the online world. If you really game select, you can really build that beautiful graph and smash.
Especially on all these different sites that are offering so many tournaments, you can pick very deep structures, eradicate turbos and hypers from your schedule, like very much focusing on these high ROI tournaments, and you can definitely decrease the variance a lot. And
turbos and hypers have never been that exciting to me. The beauty of poker is finding that 3-bet bluff or that light 4-bet shove, or like playing multiple streets. I feel like that when you're deep in the game tree, that's when it gets really exciting, when you're dealing with turn bets and river bets. I mean, turbos and hypers, when you're finding these 8 big blind shoves, just is not that stimulating to me. So I always try to play the deep stack poker. Are you coming to WSOP?
I don't know yet, man. It really depends on the travel situation in Europe. It's still coming from a country. I think here we're a little tighter when it comes to measurements. Casinos haven't opened yet. In States or in Vegas, they have opened the casinos. Maybe here in certain countries, I'm not following it because it's changing from week to week. They're announcing something, and then the numbers change, or the data changes, and then they have to readjust once again. So once they can, it's likely that everything is going to be open or easier to travel for, let's say, a longer period of time where you can really make plans. Then, because I don't want to travel and then being stuck in the US because it's hard to go back to Europe. And just if it happens, it happens. If not, it then doesn't. Do you intend to go to WCP this year?
The WSOP main I'll walk there if I have to, man. You can't miss that tournament, dude. The WSOP main event, for me, that's always had the tournament, of course, and that is the true for most people.
Have you been?
Sorry,
go ahead.
I've worked so hard on my game too, and I haven't played live poker in forever, and I just want to utilize some of these tools in the live poker world that I have now. You were saying?
Don't stack up 200 big blinds ace king off preflop though.
Okay, yes. By the way, I sent hands to Ben all the way, and so you're telling me earlier, just like stop punting, basically. Those are the blunders. Like, stop the big.
Yeah, I mean, poker, and if we really try to understand the core principle of PyroSolver and GTO, and you will see that repetitively, and here and there you find some big ballsy bluffs in Pyro, but the main strategy, the main focus, really, you have a good hand, you have loads of equity, you want to bet big. It's a very consistent pattern, and here and there mixing in some bluffs, but even those bluffs show very little EV. And again, if we change the input just by a little bit, it changes the entire output. And this is something, if you want to revisit some stuff in the Terra Masterclass I've been doing recently now with the population analysis, and the stats are crazy. Like, people are playing so different. If I would just take one sim and make it more realistic, we are playing a completely different game. I have note-locked spots where, all right, we want to be leading the turn here 40%, and I make some more realistic changes for our opponent's response, we start leading 100%. Every single hand wants to be bluffed. We don't care about blockers anymore. And this is what very excellent poker players, if you look at the top 10, top 20, I'm pretty sure they're not sitting there and analyzing different c-bet sizings against different opponents. No, they're very good in exploiting. They're very observant. They have been around for years. They can sense when people are doing things differently, when the population is doing things differently. They try out different things. You see Adamo using crazy sizings. You see Charles Darwin or Lena doing crazy 3-bet bluffs with 14 big blinds. And then we look into some ICM sims, and it makes actually sense. Also great exploit. If you sit there with your chip leader, you open 10-7 off from the cutoff, and the 14 big blind stack 3-bets you to 4 big blinds, and you have so much, what are you going to do? It's like these small exploits that are so unusual. It becomes a different game, and people try to play GTO approved poker, and it's like they look in the sim, oh yeah, I did a GTO play, and then they jerk off, go to their coach and brag about a GTO approved play, and they punt it off 100 big blinds. It gets so crazy, man, but just has nothing to do with how poker works in the real life, man. And just if we're going to be working together, Kevin, I'm really excited. We're going to be looking into some spots, and I'm pretty sure we'll
find some exploits.
Be an epic journey, yeah, man.
That's what it seems like where the true crushers come from, if they have this GTO understanding of how poker theory works, plus the combination of finding these sick exploits versus work.
Sure.
That's when the beautiful merge happens.
Yeah.
To seem like we can crush it, dude. I mean, so I started working with my new coach in September, Seth Davies. Shout out, he's a savage. I actually got a session with him later today. We're gonna look at some stuff, Ben. We're gonna look at some poker theory. Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to put in some work, and it's achievable. For years, I was like, I felt like I was doing well in the mid stakes, but I never knew how to get better.
Yeah,
I felt like I plateaued, and now I really feel like there's a blueprint where I feel like I potentially might fall short, like we talking about earlier. There is a chance of failure, but that cannot affect your decision making. But I'm gonna go for it, man. I'm gonna see how far we can push my my poker limit to this next couple of years.
Great. Listen, before I release you free, I have one more question I really would like to know from you. You have been now around for many years, and what was it your point in the career where you were studying something and you had a huge epiphany, a big aha moment? You have been doing it wrong, and you really been like, this is the shit, this is what I need to do, and then someone told you, you've seen it somewhere, which is like, oh my god, I've been doing it so massively wrong, and it has improved your game. Maybe something that can also pick our audience on and learn from it.
I mean, there was the first one was way back when I started, and the first one the epiphany was that you could radically improve your ability. I had this stupid idea that poker, where there's so much natural talent, and you watch people play on TV, and the first epiphany was that there's ranges, and you can study the ranges, and you're supposed to play these hands from this position, and to actually actively put time in and study poker. That was the first kind of general epiphany. I feel like I made another epiphany this September when I started working with Seth. I feel like I know we're always exploit, but I let's talk. I would love to talk to you about some solver stuff, because that is really where I've started putting my attention recently. I know you're the king of the exploits, but also just running certain spots like button versus big blind, running the sim on 100 different flops, just knowing which flops are better for the button, what the EV is, knowing what flops are better for the big blind. You figure out what flops are better to check, raise, bluff, which hands to use, and you look at all these solver stuff, and you just see how these computers are playing poker, and you pick up tendencies. Oh, these hands, for example, on 10-4-3, pocket jacks loves a big bet because it's a value hand that's also vulnerable, and if you can see that and then incorporate it, that would be my second epiphany. Is people all the time on my channel ask, how do I improve at poker? I would say for almost everybody, training content is the best way. Watching a video, a good piece of content, taking notes and learning. But I'm at a stage now where, I don't know, I'm just soaking up some info from Seth and the crew. And it's exciting times, Ben. I've had some close calls lately, man. Yesterday, I knew I was doing this podcast today. I wanted to come on, WSOP ring, 160K win. Close, man. I got 21st
almost,
yesterday
man.
with 160K up top, 31st the other day with millions up top, 50th with, we're having so many top 50 runs. I have kind of struggled to really go on to find the win. But this is also something I was talking about with Seth, is that when you get to the final 50 of a tournament, it's like, oh, this is such a big spot. Let's win. You're only going to win that 2% of the time.
Yeah,
it's very rare you actually get the win.
For sure. Absolutely.
What's a major exploit potentially? When you get to final 50 in a huge spot, what is one major thing that population tends? Like, do people tighten up? Do you really go for it, or you just stay selective? Like, I feel like I've messed up some of my recent tournaments final 50.
I would say playing too aggressive as a big stack.
Yeah.
You naturally have this
guilty.
image.
I'm guilty.
Yeah. You naturally have that image that you're aggressive and lose as a big stack. So you're naturally going to be bluff catched wider. And I would also say too tight as a mid stack against big stacks, like especially around 15, 20. I think you can rejam really, really wide in these spots sometimes when big stacks are opening too wide. Where they're actually not supposed to be opening a lot, like spots where, you just open 50% from cutoff, but they open like 70, 80%. And I see people folding ace-5 off, and you've run it in a sim, like you have super printing rejams. I think these are like two... And then, of course, the typical ICM blunders, not being patient enough. I think these 2-3 tips, I would say, if you want to improve your game, I would look into my database or my hands, review some of these spots. Maybe you're missing some great opportunities on picking up chips there. And you mentioned, I'm totally on your side, man. I think it's good to look into solvers and study GTO, because only when you understand the theory, you know how to do the exploits. But I think it's very fundamental. It's very important to adjust the sims to see, okay, let's just remove his bluffing frequencies the way it is in real world, and then let's see our calling range, right? And see how the EV changes. I think that is so far more important than just looking in the result and like, oh, okay, that's the G2 solution. And always trying to understand why. And before you look into a spot, always asking yourself, okay, what hands would I bluff for whatever reason? What's the frequency? As you said, how much equity do we have on the spot? Something we're doing with a paired quiz, and you will see for yourself where I'm actually asking these questions in pair. And it's really good to practice before cheating and looking into the sim and thinking, now I'm all smarter. You'll be doing a lot of mistakes, but that's great. That's where you learn, right? And so, I think both is important to look up these GTO sims, but then, of course, this is just the first step, man. And there are 2-3 more important steps that you need to take in order really to manifest and solidify what you have learned or what you just have been looking up and trying to incorporate into your game.
For sure, man. What a beautiful game. Growing up, I always loved the idea of gambling, but I hated the idea of losing. And almost every gambling game is a losing game. I loved the idea of gambling, but I hated the fact that it was a losing play. When I found poker and I was like, wait, you can gamble, but the edge is in your favor? Man, what a beautiful game. What a beautiful game. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, unfortunately, and as it probably was, as you described it early in your career, just by playing and, having some ideas, what to do by watching TV, you have the edge. That's not true. If you study intensively and you take the time, and then you can become the casino. So that's the ultimate goal, right? So
study, game select. People are crushing the game, man. You can get that. You can get that the odds in your favor.
Absolutely, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining. It was a pleasure.
90 minutes of good stuff. We got content, we got poker, we covered it all, Ben.
Your story around Big Brother was one of the most inspiring stories. I love these, looking for edges here and there, exploiting the system in a reasonable way, in a legal way, man. That's providing you the edge in life, man. You just got to be creative, bossy, and showing some audacity.
It's a pretty cool story. That story of me studying the comps and exploiting the comps and winning everyone. Yeah. That story wasn't captured in the edited show. It was confusing and
because maybe they were embarrassed.
Yes, that's the thing too. After I won that season with that strategy, the production team talked to me and they're like, we're very impressed with what you did, but in the future, we're going to have to design these things differently. Like it wasn't good for one person to win like 6 comps in a row or whatever. Yeah. So that's cool, man. Yeah, dude, onwards and upwards. We'll be in touch. We're making content together. I'm always sending you hands. Thank you for having me on.
Sure, man.
Always a pleasure, dude. And onwards and upwards for both of us.
Great, man. Thank you so much for joining. And guys, everyone that is watching, if you have some input, questions, feel free to drop it in the comments. And of course, if you have enjoyed this piece of content here with Kevin today being on the show, don't forget to like and subscribe, and then see you guys next time. Bye-bye.